In today's episode of the Midweek Ramble, we are comparing four different D pillars for either your hand knits or your store bought knits. We'll be looking at the Gleaner, Comfy Clothiers Cashmere and Wool Comb, the Bymore Fabric Shaver, and a good old fashioned Bic razor. So grab a cup of something cozy and let's dive in. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. I am sitting or standing at my table in my office here, and I wanted to do a comparison of four different, well, I should say three conventional D pillars for your hand knits or your knit clothing, and one more unconventional tool that you can use to remove the pills from your hand knit items. Now, all of the items I'm sharing with you today were purchased with my own money. They were not given to me. The companies of these particular tools have no idea that I'm doing any kind of a review. I just wanted to do this to give you a little bit more of an insight into what you actually do with these particular tools and how they work on real life knits. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now, the ones that I'm going to compare are the Gleaner. This is a really popular brand for D-pillars amongst hand knitters. Now, I used to have one, and this is a brand new one because for the life of me, I cannot find my other. And it got to the point where I just needed to get another one so that I can make this video for you guys. So this is a brand new Gleaner. It comes in this case when you purchase it on Amazon, and I'll link to it down below. And then comes in plastic bag like this. Right out of the container or right out of the bag, you get this little textured part right here. I'm assuming that's for kind of combing down, or not combing down, but brushing down the fuzz of your garment. And then on this side, this is where you would attach the different attachments for grooming your sweaters. And I have those in the bag. Here they are. So they kind of come in a plastic wrapper like this. You have, and I'm going to give this to you, so this information, right? Instructions. Now, each of these do different things. So you have edge one, which is this one here. This, it says it's ideal for big and bulky fabrics like heavy woolens, rugs, chunky knit scarves, and heavy duty upholstery. And then you have this one here. It says edge 2 is best for medium fabrics like cashmere, merino, and finer wools. It also works great on fleece. And then edge 3, which to me kind of just looks like almost like an emery board type. This says it revitalizes your summer knits, t-shirts, silk blends, linens, and ultra delicates. So this is what you would use for more like your cotton fabrics, things that aren't necessarily woolen, but that can tend to get little pills like micro pilling, or just the fabric starts to look a little worn. This can kind of help revamp that. The only one I've ever had, I don't even remember having this white attachment. The only one I really ever remember having is this one here. And then it has this part. And this one's really kind of for removing pet hair, or when you're finished, depilling to kind of remove the excess here. And when you use the Gleaner, the first step is to choose the edge that you plan on using. I am going to just pop one on here just to put it on there. So that's the one I have on there right now. Stretch your fabric over something like an ironing board or a table to give it some nice tension. Use the Gleaner gently across the stretched surface of your fabric, and then go over it with this section here to kind of pick up any of the remaining fuzz from your depilling. So this is the Gleaner. This is the one that I have used in the past. Again, I didn't have all these separate attachments and it was a little while ago, and I remember it working really well. So we're going to try this one. The next one that we're going to try is by a brand that I've never heard of before called Comfy Clothiers. I'm in front of my big window, so it might be kind of hard to see, but I will pop all the links to these down below. This is a cashmere and wool comb with a cedar wood handle. And open up the box. Looks like this inside the box. We're going to go ahead and take that out. You may hear my camera lens focusing. It's because my microphone is attached to the top of my camera today because of my situation. It sounds like a cat is purring or something. It's just my camera lens. Okay, this is what it looks like. So it has a cedar wood handle, and then this is the comb that you use to comb over your knits. Now, there aren't any instructions as to how to use this, but I have to think it's pretty self-explanatory. And this is for your more kind of fine fabrics, your merinos, your cashmeres, lamb's wools, things like that. That's what I would use this for. So we're going to try this one out and compare this one to the Gleaner as well because it's nice and small and compact. You can keep this in a notions bag or just any kind of travel bag. I really like this. I like the way it just looks nice. You know, it's like those things, like nice, nice. I like that. Okay, so we're gonna set this off to the side. Okay, this next one is a little bit more like high tech. For all of you people that like things that are, automatic, if you will. And I have not opened this. I have not used this. I have used something like this in the past, but mine no longer works. But this is a fabric shaver. Hold on a second. I'm going to take the plastic off. Okay, plastic is off. This is a fabric shaver, and it kind of I don't know, what does it even look like? It looks almost like a steamer, but it has this like shaving thing on the front and it goes over and it shaves the pills off of your fabric. This one got the better reviews, or the best rating on Amazon from what I saw. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out of the box. It's by Bymore. This is the brand. Bymore. Let's see. Okay, it has so many attachments. If you don't like the sound of crinkling plastic, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so wow, hold the phone. We've got the cable for plugging the sucker in. I don't know if you need to charge it. Fantastic. Let's hope it has some charge on it for today. And then, ooh, yaha. This is like a blade attachment. I'm gonna put that one over here. You gotta be careful. Another blade attachment. Gives me some instructions on how to put this together. It says it has 3 blades. Where's the other? Oh, you know what? I bet the other one is on the actual thing. So you get 2 replacements and then one that's on there. When using the fabric shaver, please place your We're gonna go over all that when I test it. I just want to show you what it looks like to get us started. Okay, let's pull it out of here, out of the bubble wrap. Here it is. It has this really nice kind of soft satin texture. It's kind of nice looking, like if you're keeping this in a laundry room or something. So that's it. So you would run this section over the fabric and then all the little pills would accumulate in this little canister portion right back here. Hold it in your hand like this, go like this, bada bing, bada boom. The Buy More fabric shaver. So we're going to try this one as well. So, and then after all of these actual store-bought paid money for options, we are going to test the, everybody's seen one before, disposable razor. This is a Bic razor. It's basic plastic razor. Now, I mentioned before you want to try to find them that don't have the moisture strips. Well, I'm going to tell you it's really hard to find Bic razors that don't have moisture strips anymore. And honestly, it doesn't matter. You're not getting it wet, so you don't have to worry about it activating anything there. And it doesn't matter. Okay, so any Bic razor will do. And I'm excited to show you how this works because how much is a Bic razor, right? Like nothing. And if that works really well, it beats how much each of these are. And I will tell you how much each of these are as we try them. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I have a lot of stuff in front of me right now. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, what are we trying this on? Well, we are going to try this on my Magnolia Bloom sweater. This is hand knit. This is not chunky. I would say it's kind of like a worsted weight overall. You can see the fabric here. We're going to try it on this. It's not terribly pilly. Well, here, let's see if you can see. It's not terrible, but there are some pills on there. But I wanted to do this to show you how it works with something that has been knit with Surrey. So we're going to test it on that. I have 2 store-bought sweaters that belong to my husband that we are going to try this on because they are pretty pilly. So this one is a store-bought cashmere sweater. You might be able to see the pills on there. I don't know. Can you see that? It's pretty pilly. And then we have a store-bought lamb's wool. This is 100% lamb's wool. And it's pretty dark. And you may be able to make out all the pills happening. You see all those in there? Yeah, so we're gonna try it on these. So we have 4 sweaters to try it on to see how they work, give you an idea of what you do with them, how convenient they are, and then kind of make a decision about which one to buy if you had to decide. I mean, honestly, I feel like I feel like you'll be impressed with what the Bic razor can do. But let's go ahead and see what we have here, and then we'll make a decision. But I want to test them before we do anything else. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to start with my husband's cashmere sweater. And you know what? That dark blue navy sweater, I'm not going to do that because it would just be so dark. You would not be able to see all the detail. And it's just not worth doing that. So I'm going to do it with this one instead because I think this is an excellent example or an opportunity to demonstrate. What you're seeing on your screen right now is just fabric. I wanted to get you up close and personal. So looking at this, and this is again 100% cashmere, you can see by looking at this that there is a considerable amount of pilling. And I think what I'm going to do here is we're gonna try doing it section by section with the different tools that I have here and see how that goes. So we'll start with the Gleaner, and then we'll move to the little comb, and then we're gonna go to the shaver, meaning the electric shaver or the battery powered shaver, and then on to the Bic razor. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the Gleaner first, and I have it on this attachment here that is for kind of like finer wools or lighter weight fabrics, if my camera wants to go ahead and focus on that so you can see it. I actually tested this out on that navy blue sweater, which is how I know that it didn't show up on the camera, so you can see some of this navy blue fuzz on here, and I'm excited to show you. Hopefully it works the same on this sweater. So let's go ahead and get into it and see how well the Gleaner pulls some of these pills away from the fabric. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of work right over here, and we're gonna give ourselves sections. So what I do is I just hold it flat against the fabric, make sure everything's laying flat, provide some tension with your other hand, and then just pull or glean your fabric moving down like this. So I'm gonna hold my hands on here to provide tension, and then I'll pull my hands away so that you can see the result. So we're gonna just start here, and I'm just gonna, with little strokes, pull the Gleaner down the fabric, just like this. Little bits at a time. You can kind of go back over that same section again. You don't have to push too hard, but it's okay to put a little bit of pressure onto the fabric to help pull up some of that excess fuzz. Okay, there's that section right there, and I just did a little bit, so I can go back over it, but you can see, if you look at the Gleaner, can you see all these little fuzzies that's on the Gleaner? Look at that. So all of that is what a sweater will just naturally shed, but it gets built up on the surface of the sweater in those little pills. I'm gonna do a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there, and we're gonna see if we can notice a difference. So this is the section I just did here. I haven't done anything right here, and you might be able to here notice a difference, but I'm gonna stick my hand under here and pull the fabric up so you can kind of see it in the light. So that is what I just gleaned right here. You can see the fabric pretty smooth, and then over here would be this fabric that I haven't done anything with. So from here, this is what's pilly, to here. Oh, and you can even see over here. So there's this nice smooth section. That's what I just gleaned, and it looks nice. So that works really well, and it's super easy. It doesn't even require any elbow grease. It's just pretty easy and kind of enjoyable. I like going over and watching all of this like fuzz that would otherwise turn into pills on my sweater be removed. So I like that. Okay, now on this next section, I'm gonna move this over a little bit. And on this next section, we're gonna use the comb. So here's the comb. It's just a wool comb, cashmere and wool comb. It's really pretty. And we're gonna take this and just gently go over the fabric, kind of like we were doing before, and see how it works and how we like using it. We're gonna do a little bit of a test here because I have two different sleeves. Let's do the wool comb on this sleeve side, And then we're gonna do the Gleaner on the other sleeve side. And that way it's a little bit easier to compare the two. So let's try that. So I'm gonna start with a wool comb on this sleeve. Okay, so you can see that I've got all the little fuzz here. I have to pick that off with my fingers, which, I mean, it's not a big deal. But, I mean, if you don't like that, it could be a problem. Okay, so this is the wool comb section right here. I didn't go beyond this little crease going down. So this is all the wool comb. Now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna do the Gleaner. Okay, all of the fuzz is on the Gleaner here. So I'm just gonna pull that off. I don't have to pull it straight off of the sweater. And there is the Gleaner side. So this is the Gleaner side, and this is the comb side. Comb, Gleaner. I don't know, guys. I kind of feel, I mean, it's close, but I feel like if we're really gonna be, what do they call that? Measuring hairs or whatever. I don't know. Like, I feel like this could be cleaner. The comb, I know I could probably get it even cleaner with the Gleaner, but I would have to spend more time. Whereas the comb kind of took it off and had the fabric looking like new really quickly. That's kind of amazing. Okay, so I feel like when it comes to these two tools so far, the Gleaner does an excellent job if you are wanting something that's really ergonomic, easy to hold in your hand, doesn't get all that fuzz all over the place. You don't have to pick it off the sweater, you know, by hand. This is going to do the job for you. Definitely going to do the job for you. However, I feel like this guy does a better job. So far with these two manual pill removers, I have to say the Comfy Clothiers wool comb kind of takes the cake there. Here, I have my Magnolia Bloom, and it's not super pilly, but it's just kind of fuzzy, and it might be hard to see. I apologize. We're working with, you know, just Mother Nature's sunlight today, so we'll see what we can do. I want to find parts of this that are, okay, here, let's do the sleeves. We're going to just do the sleeves again to show a good comparison, because that's where I'm getting most of that pilling happening. So you can see right here, and then we'll do it on the other sleeve as well. We're going to do the Gleaner here. I'm going to start with the same attachment that we used on the other sweater. So we'll go ahead and glean the sweater just like this and see how that does. So here we have the surface that we're working with. Now, keep in mind, this is a fuzzy sweater because it has suri, so it's supposed to be a little fuzzy, but I just feel like it's got these little nubs of fuzz that are kind of like pills, and I'd like to get them off. Okay, so this is the side that I did with the Gleaner. Just gonna run it through really quick. It does not feel weird at all doing this. It feels perfectly fine. You don't feel like you're gonna tear anything or snag anything or whatever. It feels fine. Okay, so that's the first sleeve with the Gleaner. Yeah, it's looking better. Nice and smooth. That's nice. Now let's do the other one with the comb. This one's a little bit more fuzzy in my opinion. Okay, and let's grab the comb. Here we have it. Okay, so this is what I pulled off of the sleeve here. So this was the comb. This was the Gleaner. It looks like I pulled off more with the Gleaner. Interesting. Okay, so that's the sleeve after having used the comb. So we have the comb, the Comfy Clothiers wool comb. And then right here we have the sleeve where I used the Gleaner. So these are the two, we can compare them. So here is the wool comb right here, and then here is the Gleaner on this hand over here. So wool comb, Gleaner. Pretty similar job on this sweater, to be honest. I don't notice a huge difference. And I think that's just because the sweater's pretty fuzzy to begin with. So yeah, I don't really notice a huge difference there. I think they both kind of do the trick just as well as they need to do for a sweater like this that's just going to be a little bit more on the fuzzy side. So this is what we did with the wool comb and the Gleaner on my husband's cashmere sweater. We are going to go over now using the battery operated wool shaver, and we're going to see how it does with this section. All right, so here it is. I did give it a little bit of a charge, but it was pretty well charged when I opened it. So we're gonna go ahead and start. You're just gonna take your shaver over your fabric like this gently. You don't want to push down too hard or else you'll suck some of that fabric up into this section right here, and that would not be good. It's kind of noisy. Okay, it just took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure out how to take this part off using the little instructions on this plastic thing. What you do is you hold this in your hand, kind of like this, and you go squeeze. You squeeze with your fingers like this, and then this part comes right off. And then this is everything that it pulled off of the sweater. Oh wow, it's like really fine lint. Wow. Okay, so there's that. And this is what it looks like. So this was the section below. You see all the pills here. And then that's with this thing. I'm gonna pop this back on. So this is the section I did with the combs and the comb and the Gleaner right over here. And then this is the section I just did with the battery operated one. I'm gonna hold this up. So where my fingers are wiggling, that's the Gleaner and the comb, and then this section right here. Right there, that's the battery operated one. Oh, wow, okay. Okay, so to me, this guy kind of takes the cake in doing a good job of getting all of this off. It's super easy. I'm gonna actually go over here and pick up some of the stuff that the comb and the Gleaner left behind. Okay, wow, yeah, you know what guys, this thing gets the job done. That's no joke. So after I went over this where I mean, when you open this, it's kind of messy because it's real fine lint, but this is what it got off of the sweater. Even after I went over it with the Gleaner. Wow. So that's both sides. Holy moly. Okay, so this guy, and it's kind of messy when you open it up though, but it does the job, especially for store-bought sweaters that the fabric is much more, you know, it's machine knit, a finer fabric. I mean, that just looks like brand new. That's wild. Look at this. You can see a very distinct line where the part that I just depilled is, and then the fuzzy part here. So I don't have a lot of pills going on here, but I want to feel what it would feel like to use that on this sweater. I'm going to zoom the camera out just a little bit to give us a little bit more context here. Okay, so I'm going to use this now, just running it over my sweater just to see if it feels smooth or if it's picking up too much fiber. Let's see. So far, so good. Obviously, I'm not going to go up into this lace work up here. That's just not... I'm not too worried about that area, plus that would be a little sketchy. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. Not a ton. wasn't, you know, a lot on there to begin with, but it did a pretty decent job. It didn't feel, you know, super like I wasn't worried about it snagging the fabric, so it did a pretty nice job. You can see it's nice and smooth. Yeah, that's nice. So it did a pretty good job with this. Nicely done. So this guy, oops, I'm picking up all kinds of fuzz now. This guy is pretty great, honestly. Like, I mean, if you want something high tech like this, it's a pretty good option. Okay, I'm gonna set that over here. And now I want to share with you one more option of something you can do if you don't want to spend any money at all. And that would be to use, I'm going to fold this in half just so I have more space. Okay. And that would be to use a Bic razor. Okay, so here is a good fabric example. So everything I did up here was using the Bymore fabric shaver, and then everything down here is untouched. So we are going to go over this section with your tried and true Bic razor and see just how good of a job we can do with pennies on the dollar. So let's go ahead and give it a try and we'll make a comparison. You can already see I'm starting to pick up some fuzz here. Okay, so there's a little section that we did with the Bic razor, and this is everything that I got out of that section. And you can see by looking at that it is significantly cleaner than this section right here and then the section below it. That does a really good job. So, okay, I want you to focus on this little section right here. Look at that. You guys, in a pinch, you can do the same thing as these other tools here with just a Bic razor. Like, hello, that did a great job. Compare that. I mean, look, this is what I just did with the Bic razor, and this is what I did with the shaver. I mean, come on. I'm like kind of tempted to just go through this now. It's very satisfying. Okay, but I don't want to get into that because what I want to show you is how that feels when you're doing that on something that is hand knit like this. Is it, you know, similar? Does it feel snaggy? What's the situation? So I'm going to pull my Magnolia back out and we're going to try it with this. And I'm actually going to work down the length of the sweater like this. I don't think you're going to notice a huge difference in the way that the fabric looks, only because there's not a lot of pills going on here, but I'm just going to give you an idea of how, you know, it kind of feels as I do it. Not snaggy. Doesn't feel like it's doing as much because I just don't think that there's as much here to collect. I'm gonna try it over this ribbed section. Gotta be careful here because we're dealing with bigger stitches. I'm getting a little bit more fuzz. Oh, there's a little pill right there that came off. So a little bit of fuzz. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it gets the job done. You know what I want to do? I'm going to go grab a sweater that I have that has no floofy fiber with it, and we're going to see how this goes with that. Okay, so this is one of my Felix sweaters. I'm going to move this guy out of the way. This doesn't really have any pilling going on. I'm not really using it as that kind of an example. It's pretty... I'm going to zoom out for you. Okay, this is pretty smooth. Nothing really to speak of in terms of pills here. However, I wanted to see how these particular tools felt on this fabric, since this fabric doesn't have any mohair or suri with it. And I think I'm going to start with this razor just to get an idea. It's nice and small, I can move it around. Yeah, it feels just the same. Doesn't snag. It's collecting a little bit of fuzz. Let's give it a shot with the Gleaner. That feels a little bit more aggressive, maybe a little more aggressive than I'm hoping for. Not terrible, but with just a basic worsted weight yarn, I mean, that kind of feels a little bit more aggressive. I'm gonna try it with this other. So again, we're working with the Gleaner here just to see how it does with this knit fabric that I have here. I'm gonna pop this off and pop on this one here. This is kind of for a more delicate fabric, or something that you don't want to have a lot of snagging. Ah, yes, much better. This is much better for this fabric, and it's taking some fuzz off, but in a way that just doesn't feel nearly as snaggy. This feels, what I'm doing right now feels very similar to what I'm doing, oops, to what I'm doing here with the razor. I'm gonna zoom in for you a little bit more. Okay, so the razor kind of glides along the fabric much better than that previous adapter or connector. What do you call it? This guy. Yeah, this guy for the Gleaner on this particular worsted weight fabric was just a little too rough. But this white one is much better, and it's getting the job done. It's taken away some of those fuzzy parts that would otherwise turn into pills. That's good. Yeah, that does a nice job. Okay, and then I want to try this guy and see how this feels. Nice and smooth. It's not picking anything off, or I mean, it's not, you know, snagging anything. Let's see if it's getting any fuzz. Yeah, there's some fuzz in there. You can see the red. So it's taking the fuzz off. That's good. Oh no, there's even more inside here. Wow, hello, there's more fuzz on this sweater than I was thinking. And all of that fuzz, again, is what turns into pills as you kind of wear the sweater, and the sweater it becomes agitated. All of this stuff just balls up into little pills. So we're mitigating that by removing it. So that works really well. Okay, now, oh, and you know what? I didn't test out the wool comb. Let's try the wool comb, this one. This one feels too snaggy for this kind of fabric. Just too snaggy. Yeah, I don't love it for this. So again, this is a worsted weight sweater here, and when it's a worsted weight sweater with no floofy fiber or anything like that, the this attachment that the Gleaner has here is just too rough in my opinion. The wool comb is also a little too aggressive. The white attachment that you see here that's covered in the red fuzz, this is perfect for this kind of sweater. So it's good that the Gleaner comes with those options. And then I feel like this guy does a pretty good job keeping it from being snaggy. It's taking the fuzz off. It doesn't feel like it's too aggressive. It doesn't feel like it's pulling on your fabric. It's getting the job done. And then of course, our good old Bic razor just seemed to do the job without being too aggressive on the fabric. It kind of was gliding along the fabric nicely. It's not my favorite for this, I think, but it does, in the pinch, it does the trick. So there we go. Okay, so I want to go ahead and step back away from this shot that we have right here and talk a little bit more about each of these. And we're back, and I had so much fun with that. That kind of thing is so satisfying for me when you have something, you know, like a fabric that's really pilly and you just kind of feel like it looks really messy, and to do something like that and watch all of that excess fuzz come away from the sweater and have it look new again, it's just very satisfying. So I'm happy that I did that. It opened my eyes to these particular tools, and I'm hoping that it lends you a little bit of insight into each of these, especially considering their price range and what your budget might be. Okay, let's go ahead and review. The first one that I tested was the Gleaner. This is the one you may hear about most often. This one I felt like did a good enough job It definitely got the job done. It has 3 attachments depending on the type of fabric, which I really appreciate because as I showed, one of the attachments, or it would have been 2 of these attachments, would have been too aggressive for some of my hand knits, whereas some of those would work for others. Having the option is really important. However, in some cases, especially in the case of more finer fabrics or store-bought sweaters, I felt like it didn't do as great of a job as this one. This is a cashmere and wool comb by the Comfy Clothiers. The Gleaner just didn't do as well of a job or as good of a job as this did. This just seemed to kind of pick up all of the pills plus the additional bottom layer of fuzz really efficiently in less time than the Gleaner. However, it's smaller, it's not as ergonomic, it's kind of hard to hold in your hand. It looks nice, you can keep it in your purse, you can keep it in your notions bag. Um, but it's just not as easy to use, but it did a better job with my husband's store-bought sweaters, and I feel like it did pretty much the same job as the Gleaner on my hand knit sweaters. So this one, if you like the way it looks, if you like the size of this, and you don't want all the extra attachments that the Gleaner has to offer, this might be just the ticket because it's just nice and small and convenient, and it actually does a really good job. My favorite of all of these, though, I have to say, was this guy. And that's because it just did an all-around great job in very little time. The only downfall here is it's noisy. It costs more. It's a device as opposed to a little tool like that. But if you need something in your laundry room or around your house, it's not very portable. It's kind of chunky. That just gets the job done, gets it done quickly. You need to get out of the house. You want to clean up your sweater a little bit. This is definitely going to do it. I was really impressed with how well this worked. However, I'm happy to have the Gleaner on hand too, and I like the idea of keeping this guy in my Notions case. Now, again, I bought all 3 of these for the sake of this video. I do not think you should buy all 3 of these. In fact, I feel like if you're on a real tight budget, meaning you don't want to spend really any money to speak of, this guy did an excellent job. This guy came pretty close to this guy and how well it removed all of that fuzz. Super impressed with how well just your basic disposable razor does at removing the pills from your sweater. So honestly, if you don't want to spend any money but you need something just in case you have a sweater that has some pills, this guy did a really great job on those finer fabrics. And it worked pretty well on the heavier weight fabrics. I honestly, you can't really beat it. Like, hello, it's a big razor. I keep showing you, like, you're going to forget what it is. So that was an excellent option. But however, you don't need to have all 3 of these. If I had to pick one that I was gonna keep on hand for its versatility, convenience, reliability, and maybe portability, I probably would end up going with the Gleaner. Only because even though it didn't do as great of a job as the electric one and this wool comb, it has the different attachments. I know it's going to have an attachment that works for a range of items, whether it's, blankets and upholstery, my hand knits, finer fabrics like my husband's sweaters over here. I just know it's going to work for that range of items because it has those different attachments. It's very ergonomic, easy to hold in my hand. I can throw it in a backpack if I'm going on a trip. It's not quite as travel friendly as, the Bic razor or the little comb, but overall, I think it's a pretty well-rounded tool and it does a great job. So that would be if I had to just take one of these right now and let the other ones go, that would be the one that I would keep. I'm interested to know what you guys think based on this or any experience you've had with devices like these or these in the past. What are your thoughts? Would you spend any money on anything like this at all? Do you even care? How many of you are like pro Bic razor over there that are thinking like, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with the Bic razor and call it a day? The only downfall of this, obviously, is just it's going to take you a lot longer to work a larger sweater. So if you have a larger sweater to depill, and there was substantial pilling on those sweaters over there, it would take me a long time, which makes this guy, appealing because you can just zip it around the sweater and you're done. But let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say about this. Just something fun to do for a Wednesday ramble. I hope it was insightful. I hope you took something from this. And if you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe for more content, which comes out every Wednesday and every Sunday. And until I see you again for Sunday's episode of the Knitting Podcast, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.